Welcome into episode 25 of Breaker Banter. My name's Devin Dobek, the voice of the Breakers, live from the Hard Rock Cafe in Biloxi. Very excited to bring on one of the newest Breakers. Kyle Heitzner joins the panel with us momentarily. Excited to talk to him about his career and all his time from the OHL now to playing pro here in the FPHL. But before we get into any of that, let's get into our housekeeping. So, last weekend, a tough one for the Breakers, a 12-3 loss at the Athens Rock Lobsters. The Saturday game was postponed to this upcoming Sunday. So it will be a 3-game and 3-day stretch for the Biloxi Breakers coming up. They'll have Columbus on Friday night at 6:35 Central, Saturday night versus Columbus at 6:05 Central, and then 3:05 Central against the Athens Rock Lobsters on Sunday to close out that 3-game road trip. Only one other road game in February coming up, so there's going to be a lot of chances to get in the building, get loud, and cheer on those Breakers. They need you, so look forward to having everybody in there. We do have some exciting promotions as well. Our next home weekend is February 6th and 7th. It will be Law Enforcement Weekend, so we'll be honoring all of our police officers. There will be some special guests to drop the puck and all kinds of cool surprises. And then the following weekend, on February 12th and 13th, that will be our Mardi Gras weekend. So the first 2,000 fans at the game on February 13th will get some Mardi Gras beads courtesy of the Lazy Oak in Ocean Springs. Appreciate all of their support. The Breakers will be wearing their specialty Mardi Gras jerseys. So there will be some jersey auctions coming up. Make sure you're in the building on those Saturday night games to make sure that you can cast a bid on your favorite player. But again, 3 games in 3 days coming up. That just about wraps up our intro. We're going to bring Heitzy on and get into our interview momentarily.
Strength isn't built in a single race. It's earned, mile after mile, pedal after pedal, step after step. The same endurance that drives athletes to the finish line fuels the steady hands and sharp focus required in surgery. It's about resilience, precision, and commitment, in competition and in the operating room. Because true performance means showing up with excellence, no matter the arena.
And we welcome you back to episode 25 of Breaker Banter. My name's Devin Dobek, joined by Kyle Heitzner, one of the new forwards for the Biloxi Breakers. Kyle, welcome to the show. Happy to have you on here.
Yeah, thanks, Dev. It's always good to chat. I'm excited for to get to know me a little more for the fans, and excited to chat with you. So.
Yeah, looking forward to it. But I always like to start back at the roots, how your hockey journey began. You grew up in Orillia, Ontario. How did your hockey journey begin? Who were your early mentors, and how'd you learn to play the game?
So going back into like the young days of learning the game, my dad's been a huge mentor for me. He used to take me to the local rink and just like tow me around with his stick, like before I could even skate at like 3 years old, and then obviously started skating a little more, 3-4 years old. We moved to Orillia when I was about 6 years old, and grew up playing on the lake, just the
best way to do it.
Yeah, sometimes there'd be no snow on the lake, and we would have, basically me and my dad would be skating miles, just passing the puck back and forth, and it was pretty neat. And then growing up playing Orillia minor hockey, got to be the captain for my minor hockey team for a few years, and then to move on to AAA after that. But it was a lot of great experiences with my mom too. She'd be out there in her boots or skates buzzing around with us too, so she's been super supportive of my hockey career too.
It's awesome to have the whole family on board. But was there a piece of advice that you were given at a young age? Maybe it was from your parents, maybe from an early coach, that's stuck with you up until this point in your pro career?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is, just having that I can do it attitude instead of I can't. My dad would always get on me if I said I can't do it, or, it's too hard. He would say, well, no, you can. You just have to put your mind to it. And I think back to trying to learn how to take a slap shot and raise the puck, like when we were 11, 12 years old, and trying to get a slap shot away. And we would work on it for hours and hours and hours, and I think just the whole hard work mentality of putting in the time to get good at something, and not just expecting it to happen so easily.
Exactly, a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
But, keeping it rolling here, Did you have a favorite NHL team growing up, and were there any players that you wanted to model your game after? Anyone that caught your attention from a young age?
Yeah, for sure. It's always been the Toronto Maple Leafs because they're the closest team. It's been a little difficult being a Leafs fan, but
As a Bruins fan, I pity you a little bit. But
no, it's good though. Like, you know, in the sense that, like, yeah, we haven't won a cup in a long time, but we always have someone or something to cheer for. And for me, growing up, I always wanted to play like kind of like Darcy Tucker, you know, in your face kind of player, could drop the gloves but also score. Going back before him, like, you know, I never got to see these guys play, but I'd always watch video on like Doug Gilmour, Wendell Clark, guys like that.
Yep.
So a lot of heart, those guys.
So we're going to start moving into your junior career, but before we get there, going back, looking at your youth hockey career, is there any cinematic memories that you have? Maybe something that you won a championship or had a really good year, hit a milestone. Is there a memory you'd like to share from your youth career?
For sure. When I was grade 7, 12 years old, we had a really strong team in Ontario Rep A hockey, where we went, we had, I think, like something crazy, like 82 wins, 4 losses, and something like that. But we won our OMHAs, which is like our big, it's about half of Ontario. We won that in 4 games. My dad was our assistant coach, and we had another guy as a head coach. That Frank Borelli was a great guy. His daughter was our goalie, actually.
No kidding.
And that season, we lost in the Silver Stick finals and the OHF finals, which is all of Ontario's. But we had won like 2 or 3 AA tournaments. I had like 112 goals, 87 assists, and 199 points that year. It was pretty awesome. That's definitely a year that sticks out in my memory.
Yeah, a year to hang your hat on for sure. So now we're at 2016, where you began your first of 3 seasons in the OHL, the Ontario Hockey League, major junior up in Canada. But the first 2, you're with the Barrie Colts up until 2018, and then a brief stint with Mississauga. But how was the competition playing now in the OHL? You know, you make that huge jump. How did it change from maybe scoring 199 points in a season?
No, for sure. It's very humbling to go to a league like that and see how much talent there is, not just from Ontario, but from the States, from Europe. My second year in Barrie, we had Andrei Svechnikov and Alexei Lipanov come over from the European draft. And, you know, I remember going into my second year hoping to get a little more opportunity. But then they would bring other really good players in and NHL prospects. So it made you have to basically do things to stand out, to stay there. They always say it's easy to get there, or it's hard to get there, it's even harder to stay. And I believe that to be true because, you know, once you're there, they see what you're doing every day. They see what your habits are like. And, you know, it's the hockey's so mental. It's such a mental game. So it was the same in the OHL, but even more so. There's that added pressure of, okay, I'm only 17, 18 years old, but I'm at the highest level I can be at that age, and, you know, you put a bit of pressure on yourself that you want to do well and try and make the NHL, right? But at the end of the day, I got to play close to home. It was a ton of fun. I have a lot of great friends and memories from those years, and one of my best friends, Curtis Douglas, just made his NHL debut this year. 25 years old, and he's been grinding in the AHL for like 4 years, and we were rookies together. I remember, you know, we went through some hazing and stuff like that as rookies, and when we left each other my first year in the OHL, we gave each other a big hug, and we were actually both broke down crying because it was like all the stuff we had been through together. It was really a bond, and we still look out for each other to this day. So
that's got to be awesome to stay in touch with those guys. And I think this is a great segue too. You talk about the mental side of the game. So you go from being, you know, this guy putting up triple-digit points in a season to now playing in the OHL and fighting for every inch, fighting for goals, fighting for assists. You know, it's a big drop-off. So did you find yourself kind of like after, you know, being the best player on the ice to now being, you know, just one of the common?
Right.
Do you think that taxed you mentally, and how were you able to handle it?
No, it did for sure. You know, there was definitely times where I thought, am I doing the right thing by, you know, staying here and being like third, fourth line player. But at the end of the day, I'm really glad that I did play my 115 games in the OHL, because it's given me so much more opportunity in pro to, be able to achieve something like that other guys haven't. And not only that, the experience I learned along the way of, just when you're not in the role of like the producer, the goal scorer, there's so much more to a team than just the guy that's scoring all the goals. And it's cool to be able to play in different roles now, I think, and having already had that experience. So for say if I was to play in the ECHL or something like I'd got an opportunity to this year, and I was fourth line, I kind of understood, okay, this is where I'm at. How can I help the team? I'm gonna go make a big hit, or I'm gonna go kill a penalty, or something like that. So it wasn't as much of a shock in pro, is what I'm trying to say.
Of course. So I guess we'll go back to 2019 now. So after your OHL career comes to an end, you go to the PJCHL and represent the Aurelia Tigers. So what was it like to play pretty close to home? I mean, you mentioned getting to do it in the OHL, but now doing it in Aurelia. What was that experience like, representing your hometown?
It was amazing. I got to be our captain my 20-year-old season and play in front of my grandma, my grandpa, my friends and family, obviously my parents, and it was a lot of fun there too, for sure. Definitely miss those times. They go by fast. The whole junior career went by fast, and I'm blessed to be able to still play today, but it's
blink of an eye.
Yeah,
and it's
it really
over.
is, for sure.
But you didn't leave without getting a major accolade, and that was, of course, you were selected as the Aurelia Athlete of the Year in that season ending in 2020. What does that honor mean to you, to be selected and to be put on that pedestal?
So, I'll be completely honest, I was actually the runner-up.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
It was still amazing. You know what? The girl who won was really deserving. She was like, I think, an Olympic,
Going down to an Olympian.
bicyclist.
Yeah.
Cyclist.
Cyclist.
Yeah, we went to high school together, so I was super happy for her, regardless. Yeah, that she won. But no, it was cool. Like, definitely in my hometown, I consider myself to be a leader with the kids and stuff like that, and I'm lucky to be able to have helped out with a lot of youth hockey teams and programs and camps and stuff, and something I want to do for many years. So.
Yeah, that is just such an incredible experience, and to do it so close to home. So now your junior career is starting to come to a halt. When did you realize that you wanted to continue pursuing hockey at the highest level possible professionally? Was it something you always wanted to do from your time back in the OHL? Did you ever have a doubt about it, or was it something that you had your sights on and that's still your goal to this day?
So I did have my sights on playing professionally, like as soon as I started junior. I was always my dream to go over to Europe, actually, and play over there. But then I had a European experience when I was 21, and I got very homesick, so I thought, I want to play maybe a little closer to home where I could have family come visit and stuff more conveniently.
It's tough.
Yeah, and prior to going to Sweden when I was 21, I was kind of like, I don't think I'm gonna play. I was in Police Foundation's program while I was playing Junior C, and wanted to pursue a career as a police officer. But I was diagnosed with bipolar in 2020, and that kind of shifted my whole direction. I thought, well, what's my next biggest passion? It's hockey. So I'd like to go play until this day, it's been as long as I can. And if something was to happen, maybe get into coaching or, yeah.
So you mentioned your time going to play in the Swedish Division II League. Not something you'd really consider again because it's not as close to home, but did you notice any big glaring differences in the European style game versus the American pro game? Is it more puck movement? Is it less physical? Take us through that.
It's definitely less physical, a little more. Those guys are very skilled, very good hockey IQ. I mean, you see, even in the World Juniors this year, how good countries like Sweden and Finland and stuff are.
Tearing
for
it up.
being like a smaller country, they're still so strong with hockey. Canada will always be the GOAT, but I'm just kidding.
We'll find out
We'll
in a
see what
month or so.
happens. Yeah, exactly. But no, it was fun. It was really cool. Like the people were very nice. A lot of cool architecture in Sweden and the cobblestone walkways. And actually, I went over with Greco on Athens.
Yep,
And he
Michael
plays
Greco.
a very physical game. So the fans in Sweden were just like totally like wide-eyed to see like these massive hits going on.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny.
We talked to Timmy Payne a while ago, and he was saying, yeah, like he had the only fight. I think he was playing out in Hungary, if I'm not mistaken, and he had like the only fight all season, and it had like 250,000 views overnight because it's just so foreign to their style of game.
Yeah, I can believe it.
So it is pretty interesting just to think about, the disparities between the two countries and the two leagues, but. Keeping it rolling into your American professional career, you joined the Quad City Storm where you make your pro debut in the SPHL here in America. What was your first impression? You land in Quad City, you play a handful of games for them. What was it like?
So, kind of a funny story, but I was a month off skates because of COVID. And I show up in Quad City, and first practice, I'm looking around the room, kind of sizing guys up, and I'm like, I was only 22. A lot of guys are in the late 20s. We had an older team, and they were in second place when I got there. But I'm thinking, I'm in pretty good shape. I played in the OHL. I think I'm going to do pretty well. And I did do well, but I couldn't believe how good the Division III players were.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have any grasp of, okay, here's the OHL. I thought Division III would be way down here, but really it was right there with the OHL because these guys are getting the really good training.
Right.
And really working hard at their craft, and I remember being like super out of breath in my first practice and like almost puking, and guys were like looking at the coach like, who'd you bring in, like who is this guy? And he's like, just give him a few weeks, like he hasn't been on the ice. Anyway, really enjoyed playing in the SPHL. Back then there was a lot bigger gap between the SPHL and FPHL than I think there is now, but it was an awesome experience to play North American Pro and see how many fans were coming out to support us, and it was just cool.
Crazy arenas they've got in the SPHL. But so now you come into the FPHL and bounce around a little bit. We're going to kind of summarize those few years, but you had stints in Watertown, Delaware for a game, Columbus for a couple stints, Danbury, Monroe, Blue Ridge, and now here in Biloxi. Do you feel that each organization has kind of left a footprint on your journey and shaped you in some certain way for the better or worse?
Absolutely, for sure. It's for me. I've been able to meet some really good connections as far as teammates, coaches. Like even recently, Rosie going to Quad City, I was able to make the call to say, hey, this is a really good goalie.
Yeah.
He possibly won't be playing here anymore. Is there an opportunity? And I feel like I've been able to help many other guys that way too. And that would be like the positive side of like building connections.
Yeah.
And I've always been a good teammate and a good person. So I think I leave a footprint on these places as well, as much as they leave it on me. And I think for me now, getting later in my career and having been on so many teams, I do want to find some more stability, and I'm hoping that's here in Biloxi, and we can kind of build more of a winning culture. And coming here to play with Penner, he's arguably my favorite coach I've had in North American Pro. So it makes sense to be here. And
Yeah, no, well said. And we obviously wish Rosie the best. I usually touch on that in my intro, but we didn't have a show last week when he was officially called to the SPHL. So, Rosie, we wish you the absolute best up in Quad City, and we'll be rooting for you. But outside of Biloxi, Heitzner, where have you enjoyed or playing most in the FPHL? And is there some of your former teammates that you stay in touch with? Do you keep those relationships?
For sure. Big one for me is Mike Mercurio in Blue Ridge. I've been through some personal things with my mental health, with my relationship status, stuff like that, where I had to leave. Last year I had to end the season short because my grandmother died. He's always kind of kept me in the game. When I thought I couldn't maybe didn't deserve to be playing hockey at professional level, or I didn't think I was ready to keep playing, he would give me words of encouragement or just talk to me over the phone about whatever I was going through. And like, you know, I went with him to Watertown. I played with him in Quad City. I played with him in Blue Ridge. You know, he's definitely a guy who stands out. Justin Schmidt's another one. We've been really good buddies, you know, and he's helped me a lot through my career. And as far as players, you know, there's a bunch of guys I could list. I don't want to go
It's
down
hard
the
on the
list.
spot to think about it.
But like overall, I honestly can't think of one guy that I haven't really been able to build a good friendship with. If they were to call me tomorrow and say, hey, I need something Heitzy, I'm there for them, you know what I mean, or vice versa. So.
And that's awesome, being able to have those relationships throughout the league. And
For sure.
Mercurial, I've never met the guy, but I've heard nothing but good things. He's
awesome.
very well liked, especially with a lot of former Watertown Wolves here in Biloxi or that have come and gone. I've heard nothing but good things about him. And Schmitty, I think, is an interesting name to say because I think a lot of people don't necessarily expect him to be this, you know, humanitarian guy who's able to relate to, because he's this tough enforcer and he's got all the tattoos and always looks like he's gonna kill you. But he is, like, I've talked to him before games and he's one of the friendliest guys around the league. He'll stand up, shake my hand, how are you? Like, he is really a great human, and I think that's awesome that you brought him up, because I think a lot of people don't know that side of Schmitty.
I wanted to add to that is, like, you even look at like Schlepp on our team, like just one of the best humans. Like
leads the league in penalty minutes, and he's like one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Well, it's funny because one of my dad's best friends was an enforcer in the National Lacrosse League for 10 years, Dan Lattiser. And if you were to meet him like at the bar or wherever, church, I don't know, but he was the biggest teddy bear, you know. And it's like, yeah, it's definitely true what you just said about enforcers and being good guys and good people.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it really, I can't say enough good things about these guys. But I think the biggest moment for you up until this point in your career, you got not one but two calls to the ECHL. You're finally playing AA professional hockey. You get those calls. Take us through the emotions, finally getting able to bump up to the next level and have a coach stint with both Adirondack and then Tulsa.
For sure. No, I kind of get goosebumps thinking about, you know, getting the call leading up to the game, my first game in Reading. It was amazing. Like, it's definitely a big step up as far as like treatment, which everyone kind of knows. That's just what happens if you move up. But I couldn't believe how good the guys were, like welcoming. That was what I was most nervous about, was like, are they going to be like, oh, this guy's coming to take my job? But no, they were welcoming. You know, I think it's a good aspiration for any guy in the FPHL to strive to move up and know that, you know, they're typically pretty good guys up there. You just mind your P's and Q's and work hard, and, you know, they know you've worked really hard to get even a game. So it's, I think, something they respect more too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned kind of being treated better at the next level, but take us through a day in the life. Like, what's it like being an ECHL hockey player? Like, from the time you wake up to puck drop, how is it different from here in the Fed, or exactly how does it take us through a day in the life?
So, like, I think typically, like, in the ECHL, you're going to get like a $60 per DM per day, which covers your food for the day. And then, you know, on top of that $60, they'll provide like a meal before the game, which is usually like a catered-in meal that's really yummy. And you know, it was
your gear. We see you in all the Adirondack and Tulsa gear, so they give you, you know, head to toe, whatever you need.
Geared up for sure, and also like you know, really good coaching. Obviously, you know, a lot of those guys played in the American Hockey League, or some of them in the NHL. Like the guys in Adirondack played some NHL games, and definitely some good guys to look up to and to learn from. And and then the pregame skate. You know, you have your pregame skate in the morning, just like we do here, and it's usually pretty quick and short, but the passing at that level is just so pristine. Like, it's so crisp, and, you know, I found it easier to trust your teammates because you just knew they were going to make the right play. And the hockey IQ is all 1 through 20 guys is there.
Right.
You got guys that have played Division One, OHL, American League, just really, really good players at that league.
Yeah, the ECHL, I mean, hopefully we both get to be up there someday once again. But turning the corner, winding down our interview here, you said via social media that Biloxi will be your 5th and final stop this season for you. What drew you to wanting to be a lasting part of this organization?
For me, personally, it's just a lot about, obviously having Penner here, familiar face, and to, get an opportunity to be a leader. We have a young team, that's pretty obvious, and being a 26-year-old with my 5th year in the league, I just wanted to be somewhere where I was appreciated and wanted, and I feel like, at least from what I've seen so far, is the guys are happy to have me here, and
I was doing jumping jacks. That's all I'd say.
Thanks, man. And it's just nice to be somewhere where you feel comfortable, because I think for me, that comfortable feeling of, okay, I'm here, I'm going to play some big minutes, I'm going to play some specialty teams. It allows you to really thrive as a player, and like you said, hopefully we're maybe at the ECHL level, even whenever that may be, next year or the year after. But while I'm here, I'm going to do everything in my power just to be a good teammate and a good leader, and try and put up some points on the board. So.
Yeah, you've sung Penner's praises. That was going to be my next question, but obviously he was a huge part of the decision for you to come here. You also mentioned being a veteran on this team and leading the young guys. Are you a lead by example guy, or are you a vocal leader? Maybe a little of both, but what's your leadership style?
A little bit of both, but mostly lead by example. I'm not one to, bark at guys or, really, I'll throw words of encouragement out to players and stuff like that, to teammates, but mostly just go out there, compete every shift, do the little things right, play well defensively, back check, forecheck, really strong in the forecheck. I turn pucks over very well, and make offense happen that way.
Yeah.
And just try to score big goals, maybe fight when it's needed, and that's about it.
Yeah, you really are one of, when people talk about an all-around player, that really describes you well. In your first game as a Breaker, you record a Gordie Howe hat trick, which is a goal, an assist, and a fighting major. And the fight, I mean, I'm trying to remember, it was Landon Johnson, but yeah, he had to leave for some repairs. So it was definitely, do you feel that this was the best impression you could have made to the home fans on home ice? Like, you get your goal, you get your assist, and in a fight, like, this is Kyle Heitzner. Do you think that was the best impression you could have made?
For sure. You know what? I kind of joked about it with a couple people before the game. A lot of people hope they get a goal or a hat trick or something, but I was like, I hope I get a Gordie Howe tonight. And, it's hard right now because my fingers are a little bit swollen and sore and cut from the fight, but there'll definitely be more to come. I just got to get healed up a bit, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel that offense or physical play is a bigger part of your game? Because you're someone who is no stranger to dropping the gloves, even with the amount of offense and points you're able to provide. So which do you feel is a bigger part of your game?
I think the offense for sure. I'm not someone who's going to fight every single game, but I am someone who's going to get chances every single game. And, when it comes to the offensive part, I have a very good anticipation for the game. So when you watch a hockey player, is like, what is he doing away from the puck? Well, does he know where the puck's going to end up? It's like predicting the play before it even happens. I think that's something I'm really strong at and take a lot of pride in. So that's kind of...
Yeah, and you mentioned your forecheck earlier. You had an assist making a good forecheck play. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Royer scored on a one-timer, but outside. But yeah, forechecking leads to offense. I mean, it really is awesome. But a couple more questions for you. Do you think that this group has what it takes to collect some wins down the stretch? You got another 6 games with the Zydeco. You got a handful with Blue Ridge, Topeka, who they've already beat 3 times without you being on the roster. Do you think that this team can start to turn it around and maybe make a late push down the stretch?
Absolutely. I mean, my first 4 games here, we've played Monroe and Athens, which could be, if it wasn't for the divisions, could be the league final, right? Like, in my opinion, I've asked a lot of guys around the league, who are the hardest teams you've played against this year? And it's either Monroe or Athens. Pay credit where it's due with Binghamton. They've won the last 2 years, but I think there's two powerhouse teams in Athens and Monroe. And once we start playing some games that are a little bit more manageable, I think if we work as hard as we can, and being a younger team, and we capitalize and execute more on chances, we can definitely make a push to win games and maybe even get a little closer to a playoff position. I think that's very achievable for what we have.
Yeah, it certainly is. And then you got that big 3-game series with Twin Cities, and they're currently sitting on the playoff bubble. So who knows? Maybe that will be a valuable 9 points that you guys can go out and get. But I always like to leave the floor with you to end an interview. Your message to the fans, or just any final thoughts or things that you'd like to say.
No, I just think obviously for all the people who have been supporting Biloxi this year, thank you very much. And it means so much to all of us to have people out there, supporting the team, win or lose. And we really appreciate everything that the not just the booster club, but the people that are paying for the tickets to allow us to do our job and still play a kids game. It's really special for me, specifically to be able to just go out there and play, not have to worry about whether it's sticks, or not that we get sticks from fans, but everything that we get, and we're very blessed, is what I'm getting.
Takes a village.
Yeah, it really does. And thank you very much. So that's all I really have for today.
All right, that's Kyle Heitzner, a new forward for the Biloxi Breakers. He'll be at it in the 3-3 this weekend. We hope you can join us on Breakers TV before the boys return home February 6th and 7th. But Heitzzy, thanks so much for joining me on the panel here.
Thank you.
It's been a blast.
Awesome.
All right, I'll be right back to wrap this thing up.
The Mississippi Gulf Coast is where community and teamwork come together, on and off the ice. Foshi Residential is proud to support the Biloxi Breakers as they bring the heat to the rink this season. Foshi Residential manages 3 unique apartment communities along the coast, each offering modern finishes, resort-style amenities, and a location that puts coastal living right at your doorstep. Ready to find your community? Visit foshiresidential.com/Biloxi Breakers for more information.
A huge thank you to Kyle Heitzner for joining me on the panel for episode 25 of Breaker Banter. He's going to be a real exciting face. He's already got 5 points in his first 3 games as a Breaker and a fight win, so looking forward to seeing what he's able to do the rest of the season. Still another 25 games, if I'm not mistaken, so plenty of time to turn things around, and with his leadership, I got all the confidence in the world that the Breakers are going to begin to get back in the win column. But as I mentioned, we'll go through our home dates again. Well, the road series, it'll be 6:35 Central on Friday against Columbus, 6:05 Central Saturday against Columbus, and 3:05 Central against Athens on Sunday. So you can join us on Breakers TV. We'll have all the information on our social media channels. Next home weekend, February 6th and 7th, Law Enforcement Weekend. We hope you can join us as we honor some of our local law enforcement on the ice, and there will be some other things around the arena as well. After that, it'll be February 12th and 13th for Mardi Gras weekend. The Breakers will be wearing their Crew of Breakers specialty jerseys. Those things are sweet. Can't wait to see how they turn out. And on February 13th, there will be a post-game jersey auction, and the first 2,000 fans at the game will get some Mardi Gras beads courtesy of the Lazy Oak in Ocean Springs. So great opportunity to get that giveaway, get in the house, and show your Mardi Gras spirit. Another thing I forgot to mention is Retro Night. That will be in March. I believe it's the 3rd week of March. Not sure the exact date, but Seawolves retro jerseys are on sale now. Visit BiloxiBreakersMerch.net or .com, and you can get a pre-order for your Seawolves jersey. It's the ECHL logo, so that's the difference there. We paid for the rights for it, and the Breakers will be wearing those for 2 games and then auctioning off those jerseys. So a really cool night. We're excited to honor the history here in Biloxi. Obviously, the Kelly Cup champs in 1999. So a really good opportunity. Once again, stay tuned to our social media for all of that information. But that just about wraps it up for myself, Devin Dobek. Once again, a huge thanks to Heitzzy for joining me, and I'll see you next week on another episode of Breaker Banter.